Glad to have you back. If you just tuned in, this is the African Broadcasting Network News. Remember, you can follow us on social media on Twitter at ABN Channel, on Facebook at ABN TV. You can also watch replays of our news and other programs on YouTube. Our channel is African Broadcasting Network. You can also search for the website www.abnchannel.net. And moving on to the foreign scene, first of all, from Africa, the Gambia to be precise, where the country's opposition leader, Ousainou Darboe, and 18 others have been jailed for 3 years for taking part in an unauthorized demonstration. In April, they were part of a group protesting about the alleged death in custody of an opposition activist. And right groups Amnesty International describes the sentences as part of the continuing downward spiral for human rights in Gambia, a record President Yahya Jammeh has in the past dismissed. Political tensions are rising in the country in the run-up to elections in December, and Mr. Darboe and many of his supporters from the United Democratic Party (UDP) took to the streets in Serekunda near the capital Banjul on April 16th, demanding the release of their colleague Solo Sandeng, dead or alive. He had been arrested along with other activists 2 days earlier, and it was alleged that he had died in custody after being beaten. Mr. Sandeng has not been seen since, and Amnesty International says he was killed. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has declared a state of emergency for 3 months following Friday's night failed army coup. The emergency allows the president and cabinet to bypass parliament when drafting new laws and to restrict or suspend rights and freedoms. More than 600 schools have also been closed and thousands of state workers sacked in a crackdown by the president. Speaking at the presidential palace in Ankara, Recep Tayyip Erdogan vowed that all the viruses within the armed forces will be cleansed. The president and his cabinet will also be able to enforce curfews and restrictions on freedom of assembly and on publications, in addition to having more powers of arrest. Mr. Erdogan praised those who were killed fighting against the coup as martyrs, as about 246 people were killed resisting the attempted coup. The president has blamed the coup attempt on US-based cleric Fethullah Gulen, a former ally whose followers run a worldwide network of schools. He has called for Mr. Gulen to be extradited to Turkey, but U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said on Wednesday that Turkey must provide hard evidence that the cleric was behind the coup attempt for any extradition to take place. More than 50,000 state employees have been rounded up, sacked or suspended in the days since the coup attempt. On Wednesday, 99 top military officers were charged in connection with the events of the weekend. Earlier, Mr. Erdogan warned of further arrests and suspensions to come as Turkish authorities continued to pursue those they believe responsible for the thwarted coup. And in the U.S., Texas Senator Ted Cruz was booed as he failed to endorse Donald Trump as the U.S. Republican nominee during a speech at the party national convention in Cleveland, Ohio. In his speech, Mr. Cruz told supporters to vote with their conscience and not to stay at home for the general election, and also went as far as congratulating the man who had been his bitter rival in the primary contest. The crowd angrily chanted that they wanted Trump and called on him to endorse the billionaire businessman as the senator came to the end of his speech.
I want to congratulate Donald Trump on winning the nomination last night. Stand and speak and vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution.
As Mr. Cruz left the stage after his non-endorsement speech, showered in boos, he gave a brief thumbs up, apparently satisfied. The boos that drowned the Texas senator, however, stopped when Mr. Trump entered the convention hall before Mr. Cruz had finished speaking. Indiana Governor Mike Pence then took center stage to give his vice presidential acceptance speech. Mr. Pence praised Mr. Trump's record as a businessman and said the country had but one choice in November. And on to sports.